Welcome to Direction Northeast. Hello, I'm Katie Parks. This program is a presentation of the Communications Department of Northeast State Community College. This episode of Direction Northeast is about a local performer who recently took a bit of East Tennessee to the heart of Russia. We'll meet our guest and start our discussion following these messages.
My name is Brad Ketcherin. I'm a registered nurse, and I got my start at Northeast State. I chose nursing because it gives me the opportunity to take care of people. I know I'll always have a job, and it gives me the opportunity to travel, which I've always wanted to do. So Northeast State was a great start for me. I was able to get my associate's degree there and transfer to a four-year college to get my RN license. I had always planned on going to college, but I wasn't really sure where I was going to go. After graduating Northeast State, I can truly say it was a good decision.
Our guest today needs a little introduction to the patrons of the performing arts in our region. He is known as a singer, actor, and director. He recently returned from a trip to Russia where he performed the music of the Appalachia. Eugene Wolf, welcome to Direction Northeast.
Hi, Katie.
How does one manage to go from East Tennessee to your trip to Russia?
I have been interested in Russia since 1994 when I did a cultural exchange with the Road Company from Johnson City, Tennessee, a theater company, and we went to Bashkiria. And I fell in love with Russia and the language and the culture then. In 1995, I returned to Bashkiria to do some videotaping, and I went to Rybinsk, which is Johnson City's sister city. And 2 years later, I met a man from Rybinsk, a musician, a folk musician named Mitya Kuznetsov. And we did some singing and playing some music together and realized, we like the way this sounds. Did we help build the pyramids together? So we stayed in touch for a little while. It was hard in 1997 with just telephone to stay in touch. And we lost touch for about 12, 13 years. And then 2 years ago, I found him on Facebook. And I started listening to the music that he had recorded in that 13-year gap. And I realized that, well, he was probably my favorite musician on the face of the earth. So on Facebook, we decided, Mitya, let's pick up our collaboration. Let's do something together. So 2 years later, this past summer, I went to Russia to take Appalachian spiritual music to see, does that music play in Russia in 2013?
What did you see, what similarities did you see between Russian music and the music, the Appalachian music that you took there?
Well, there's particularly with old spiritual songs from America, like shape note hymns, sacred harp hymns, which have much more primitive harmonies in them than we're accustomed to with a lot of church music. Some of those harmonies are very similar to liturgical music of Russia, because I had been listening to that modality of the kind of songs they sing in church. And I realized I would love to try to do a mixture of these two just to see how it works together. And the songs are about the same things. The songs are about the same needs that you have to when we listen to religious music. It's for a reason. It's to praise God, or it's out of need, it's out of solace. Iris DeMint, who's a country artist, her mother talks about these old country gospel songs as lifeline. Like when you need something, someone can throw you a lifeline in the water, and these songs for her and for me are a lifeline, which I think they are for many Russian people too.
You said harmonies. Now, I know you sing harmony sometimes, and you have in groups in the past. Where did you learn to sing harmony?
I learned in church. I grew up in the Church of Christ, and we have no piano in the Church of Christ. It's all a cappella. And so you sink or swim. You just learn how to read music. You learn how to hear it. And I was very lucky in that way because I sang tenor, even as a child, or soprano as a child, or melody. Then I could sing alto, then I could hear tenor. The one that was hardest for me was bass because I was a child. So I didn't learn bass so much, and my voice is higher too, so bass is harder for me. But I learned to read music and to hear it by singing a cappella in the Church of Christ.
Back to the Russia and Appalachian music, did you notice any differences perhaps in their music and in their culture?
Well, of course, in the music, one thing that was very interesting, like I said, I took shape note songs. And shape note hymns come, it was a way for people who didn't know how to read music at all to learn how to sing harmonies. And like I said, the harmonies were simpler and very primitive. And so many societies today there's a resurgence of shape note singing. And the singing is about the praise and what it stirs in you and the abandon with which people sing these songs. And to some people, it sounds rough and raw. To other people, it sounds simply like the Spirit is singing. To my Russian friends, when I played them, I found an old shape note song called, ironically enough, it's called Russia. It was written, the words were written in 1719 based on Scripture. The music was written in 1768, and for some reason it was given the title Russia. So I took that song to Russia to sing with a small Russian choir. And when I played them versions of Americans singing this ha da da ha da 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 ha da, they said, "Why do they sing so loud?" So I said, and why is it rough and raw? And I tried to explain to them the abandon has to do with what's coming out of the Spirit. And they were baffled. Culturally, there's such a difference. They were baffled by why people would sing that way. They didn't get it. So our version of that song, Russia, is very different than an American version of that song, Russia. So musically, culturally, that was a huge difference, that they wanted to take the beauty of the song and the beauty of the melody and showcase that. And we still contained the spirit of the song. I had to teach 3 of my singers English phonetically. They didn't speak English at all. So we had to teach them the song phonetically, and then my friend Mitya, who does speak English, explained to them exactly what they were singing about and what, because the old shape note songs the language of them is old. It's like Victorian. Well, 1719, it's even older than Victorian. It's ancient. And so those songs have words in them that don't have the same meanings today. So we had to explain to them exactly what these words meant. And so then we sort of pieced it together. Yes.
What seemed to be the song that they could most relate to despite language barriers?
I think one of the ones that was easiest for them to pick up was a Loretta Lynn song called Everybody Wants to Go to Heaven, but Nobody Wants to Die. I think everybody on the face of the earth might understand that sentiment. And then there was something about the song musically and rhythmically that they were thrilled by it. And a woman even came to me a week later. She had knitted me a hat. She brought me an icon of Mary and Jesus, a painting, and she told me that she blubbered crying when I sang that song. And I introduced that song as the favorite song of my grandmother, and there was something about that particular song that really touched people.
What was your favorite moment from Russia, one that you will remember from now on forever?
Well, my friend Mitya has 3 children. Maria, who's 8, Pavel, who's 4, and baby boy Sava, who's 6 months old. And the night before I left, I was in the floor, and Maria and Pavel jumped on me as if I were a horse and started fighting over whose horse I was. And I have this on video, so I can always look at it and remember it, but those children changed my heart in a way that I could never have predicted, so I will always have them with me.
What from Russia did you bring back? What kind of memories or culture, traditions that they have? What traditions would you bring back?
Well, they're big tea drinkers. And, you know, and while, yes, we drink tea in America, lots of people drink hot tea, there is a custom of sitting down and enjoying tea with your family, with your friends. It's built into almost every meal. Clearly not breakfast so much because the day is beginning and you've got work to do. Or lunch, not nearly as much, but the evening meal, you have dinner, and then you sit and have tea. And you relax, and it's built into the culture. And, you know, you come home wanting to be able to do that. And I try, but life is so very different in America that it's hard to get that tradition, or it's hard to get that started in my house because life is different. The rhythm of life is different here. So I've tried. I've tried to make that a part of my life, and I'm still trying. Let's put it that way.
What do you think the value of this exchange program, being able to go to Russia and share your culture and them share yours, what do you think the value of this program is?
Well, I was chatting with a guy from Russia that I met there just 2 nights ago, and he's told me, he said, Eugene, he said, your love, you're bringing your culture to our country and talking about your culture and then also talking about our culture. He said, you gave us a prism, a different way of us looking at our lives. And the value, what you see as the value of our lifestyle, we forget about that. And so you have given us a renewed love of our own lives. And what can be better than that? You know, I mean, this music, these old hymns, everybody in this region grew up with these old hymns. And you either dismiss them or you embrace them or you think, oh, that's right, those old songs. And so I have recorded 12 of these old gospel songs in Russia with my friend Mitya, and he will now take those songs and do arrangements around each of the songs with Russian instruments, with Russian musical sensibility. I'm hoping that the final product that I can bring home and let people at home hear these old songs, and so that they can hear them in a different way, which can renew their faith in our traditions. Not that we've lost it, but just give us a different way to look at it.
One of the videos you have posted online to your YouTube page is the song entitled Suffering.
Talk about suffering.
Yes, Talk About Suffering. Could you explain why you chose that song to sing in the streets?
Yes. The Rybinsk is on the Volga River. And when I was a child, I remember seeing a painting of people, men walking on the banks of the Volga River with ropes, pulling a barge upstream, up against the current of the Volga River, and thinking, and being whipped, essentially, to pull like mules. And I thought, when I arrived in Rybinsk, Mitya took me to the city, to the town, and there was a statue. They're called burlaki, these men who did that. And there's a monument to the burlaki right on the Volga River. And I realized, this is the spot this painting was made. And also that song, Songs of the Volga Boatmen, where everyone's familiar with it if you've ever watched The Wizard of Oz, because it's the song that the guards sing at the witch's castle. Oh, oh, wee, oh, oh. That's called Songs of the Volga Boatmen. And that was the song that they would sing to help them pull the barges up the river. That was one element of suffering that I saw. And then I went on a processional, which is a 5-mile walk of church people who sing the praises of Christ as they walk, and they go from one town to another. We went from one town, one cathedral, to another cathedral where there was a holy spring. And in that walk, some people wear something called a verigi, which is a brass plate, or is a metal plate that's heavy, that causes you to suffer. The thinking being that if you're suffering, God will listen to your prayer more. So people wear these, and the other people ask them to pray for me while you're suffering. So this whole suffering concept, I thought, I've got to sing about that. And it's an old Appalachian song called Talk About Suffering Here Below. So I walked through the streets of Rybinsk, Russia, just singing this song, and we made a video of it.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the video. Here's Eugene Wolf, Talk About Suffering.
Talk about suffering here below, and let's keep following Jesus. Talk about suffering here below, let's keep loving Jesus. Oh, the gospel train is coming. Now don't you want to go and leave this world of sorrow and suffering here below? Talk about suffering here below, and let's keep following Jesus. Talk about suffering here below, let's keep loving Jesus. Oh, don't you hear it, Father? Now don't you want to go and leave this world of sorrow and trouble here below? Talk about suffering here below, let's keep following Jesus. Talk about suffering here below, let's keep loving Jesus. Oh, don't you hear it, Mother, Mother, Mother? Now don't you want to go and leave this world of sorrow and trouble here below? Talk about suffering here below, let's keep following Jesus. Talk about suffering here below, let's keep loving Jesus.
Eugene Wolf has also bridged the gap between the Russian culture and the United States culture in his Russian translated What a Wonderful World. Here's his version of What a Wonderful World.
Как же жить хорошо? Зелень яркой листвы, роз красота, в каплях чистой розы, и все это для нас явлен мир волшебством. Как же жить хорошо? По лазури небес плывут облака, небожественный блеск, ночи темнота, явлен мир волшебством. Как же жить хорошо? Пусть радуга украсит собою небосвод, пусть доброта людская на лицах расцветет, и в простых словах Пусть живет любовь. Нам нужны друзья, чтобы обняться вновь. Стихнет детский плач, дети растут, пролетят года, мудрость принесут, явлен мир волшебством. Как же жить хорошо? Явлен мир волшебством. Как же жить хорошо? Ах, да.
Why did you choose to translate the song What a Wonderful World into Russian?
A couple of reasons. I think it's a pretty popular song worldwide. There's something about the melody and Louis Armstrong in that song that I think reaches people across cultures. And so I thought, what a great song to translate into Russian. So I asked Google to translate it, and it was horrifying, the translation that came up, as you can imagine. So my friend Mitya found a really beautiful translation by a woman from St. Petersburg that played with the language a little bit, but also distilled it into this beautiful, poetic song. And I thought, what a great gesture on my part. I mean, I speak some Russian, but only enough to make the shopkeepers mad, you know. So I thought, what a great idea to carry this song. So I finished, every time I would sing for publicly there, I would finish with that song so they would, you know, then I would leave them with my notion of, my East Tennessee notion of Russian, you know.
You've prepared a song for us today.
Yes.
It's called Take Your Burdens to the Lord and Leave Them There.
Yes.
If you could go ahead. Here's Eugene Wolf.
Yes, this is an old song. Like I said, there's something about these old songs that speak a little louder these days. Leave it there, leave it there. Take your burden to the Lord and leave it there. If you would trust Him, never doubt, He will surely bring you out. Take your burden to the Lord and leave it there. Now if the world from you withholds of its silver and its gold, and you have to get along with meager fare, just remember in God's word how He fed the little bird. Take your burden to the Lord and leave it there. Now if your body suffers pain and your health you can't regain, and your soul is almost sinking in despair, Jesus knows the pain you feel. He can save and He can heal. Take your burden to the Lord and leave it there. Leave it there. Leave it there. Take your burden to the Lord and leave it there. If you would trust, never doubt, He will surely bring you out. Take your burden to the Lord and leave it there. Now if your enemy assails and your heart begins to fail, don't you forget that God in heaven answers prayer. He will make a way for you. He will guide you safely through. Take your burden to the Lord and leave it there. If your youthful days are gone and old age is stealing on, and your body sinks beneath the weight of care, Jesus will never leave you then. He will go with you to the end. Take your burden to the Lord and leave it there. Leave it there. Leave it there. Take your burden to the Lord. Leave it there. If you would trust Him, never doubt, He will surely bring you out. Take your burden to the Lord. Leave it there. 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 Leave it there.
It seems that you have learned so much from Russia and brought so much back to us. Would you ever plan to go back?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to go back. I'd go back tomorrow if I could, you know. Mita and I have generated a lot of interest with our project in Russia. And so currently, Mita is talking to people at his record label and to promoters about bringing me back to Russia to do a tour, possibly the summer of 2015. I think we've planted some seeds together that can grow in Russia. And like I said, my dream is to bring him here and to let us look at these songs in a different way, because times are shifting and our needs are different than they were 15 years ago. So I think these songs have some answers and some solace, actually, you know.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back in just a moment to wrap up Direction Northeast.
My name is Brad Ketcheren. I'm a registered nurse, and I got my start at Northeast State. I chose nursing because it gives me the opportunity to take care of people. I know I'll always have a job, and it gives me the opportunity to travel, which I've always wanted to do. So Northeast State was a great start for me. I was able to get my associate's degree there and transfer to a four-year college to get my RN license. I had always planned on going to college, but I wasn't really sure where I was going to go. After graduating Northeast State, I can truly say it was a good decision.
That concludes the program for today. We talked with singer, actor, and director Eugene Wolf about his recent cultural exchange tour of Russia. Community is very important to the students at Northeast State Community College, and this program takes a look at a few of the subjects they find important. Until we meet next time, on behalf of the students, staff, and faculty of Northeast State Community College, I'm Katie Parks, and this is Direction Northeast.